The first warning came as a whisper of quantum interference, a ripple in the fabric of interstellar communication that most species would have missed entirely. But humanity had always been different, especially Dr. Elena Rodriguez, whose reputation for impossible breakthroughs preceded her like a gravitational wake. The Quantum Collective's border patrol vessel hung in space like a massive obsidian knife, its sensors probing the human exploration ship with predatory intensity. Commander Kthax, a being of pure crystalline intelligence, had long considered humanity a temporary anomaly in the galactic ecosystem, a species that would either conform or be eliminated. Unauthorized vessel, the communication array crackled, the translation algorithms rendering the alien language with clinical precision. You have breached collective territory. Prepare for immediate neutralization. Inside the U.S. Prometheus, Elena Rodriguez didn't even blink. Her team of 12 researchers represented a cross-section of human innovation that defied traditional scientific boundaries. Quantum physicists worked alongside xenobiologists, stellar engineers collaborated with AI specialists, and at the center of it all was Elena, a woman who saw limitations as mere suggestions. "Display the quantum projection," she murmured to her primary research assistant, Dr. Marcus Chen. The ship's interior transformed. Holographic representations of stellar energy patterns burst into existence, filling the bridge with a three-dimensional map that was equal parts mathematical precision and artistic brilliance. It wasn't just data, it was a language that spoke directly to the fundamental nature of cosmic interaction. Kthax's sensors went momentarily blind. The Collective's weapon systems, designed to obliterate threats with surgical precision, encountered something they couldn't process. The human vessel wasn't just transmitting information, it was rewriting the very protocols of interstellar communication. "They're attempting to disable us," Marcus whispered, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Elena's smile was sharp enough to cut quantum barriers. "No, we're having a conversation they don't understand yet." The alien vessel's communication array began to fragment, not through any traditional attack, but through a cascading series of quantum entanglement signals that rewrote its own operational parameters. It was less an invasion and more a fundamental reimagining of technological interaction. "First contact," Elena said quietly, "is always about translation, not just of language, but of possibilities." When the holographic display finally stabilized, the Collective's warship hung motionless, not destroyed, not defeated, simply recalibrated. Marcus looked at Elena, a mixture of terror and exhilaration crossing his face. "What did you just do?" "We just showed them," she replied, "that the universe is a conversation, not a battlefield." Outside the ship's viewports, stars continued their ancient dance, but something had fundamentally changed. Humanity had just demonstrated that they saw the cosmos not as a territory to be conquered, but as a complex system waiting to be understood. The Quantum Collective would never be the same. And this was just the beginning. The underground research facility beneath the Atacama Desert looked like nothing special from the outside. A series of unassuming buildings that blended into the harsh Chilean landscape. But beneath the surface, humanity was preparing to challenge everything the galaxy thought it knew about stellar physics. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura was not a man who believed in impossible. "Every single alien scientific body has declared our research theoretical suicide," he announced to the assembled team, his voice a controlled storm of scientific passion. Around him stood researchers from 37 different nations, a deliberate mosaic of human diversity that was itself a statement of collective potential. Projected behind them was the most ambitious scientific proposal in human history, a comprehensive plan to transform entire star systems into controllable energy networks. Traditional astrophysicists would have called it madness. The alien scientific community had already submitted 17 formal protests to the Interstellar Research Council. But madness, Nakamura knew, was just innovation waiting to be understood. "We're not just studying stars," he explained, his holographic displays revealing intricate quantum stabilization field designs. "We're learning their language. The team's youngest member, Dr. Arya Patel, a quantum interface specialist barely 30 years old, spoke up. The Creel Astronomical Consortium says it's mathematically impossible to create stable energy extraction from a Class 3 stellar body. Nakamura's laugh was like breaking glass. The Creel said the same thing about faster-than-light communication. And how did that turn out? Their target was a dying red giant on the edge of explored space, a stellar body so volatile that most species would have written it off as an unmanageable risk. But where others saw chaos, humanity saw a complex system waiting to be decoded. The Stellar Conversion Project was more than a scientific endeavor. It was a declaration of human potential. The test chamber looked like something between a cathedral of science and the fever dream of a mad artist. Quantum stabilization field generators lined the walls, each one a marvel of engineering that seemed to defy the very laws of physics they were attempting to understand. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood at the epicenter, her augmented neural interface pulsing with a soft blue light at her temple. Around her, a team of researchers from disciplines that had never before collaborated watched with a mixture of hope and terror. "Initiation sequence begins in 3 minutes," announced the facility's AI, its voice carefully modulated to convey neither excitement nor concern. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura, looking more machine than human after years of pushing scientific boundaries, adjusted a series of quantum entanglement modulators. His hands moved with the precision of a surgeon, each gesture a testament to decades of accumulated knowledge. The target was a carefully contained stellar plasma sample, a miniature representation of the violent, unpredictable energy that powered stars across the universe. Where traditional physics predicted total system failure, the human team saw an opportunity. Quantum stabilization field at 82% integrity, Marcus Chen called out, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with living information. The plasma sample began to change. Instead of its previous chaotic, almost violent oscillations, it started to respond to the quantum field. It wasn't suppression, it was translation. The violent energy was being transformed, its fundamental chaos being rewritten into a coherent, manageable pattern. Arya Patel, the youngest member of the team, let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "It's working," she whispered. "We're actually doing it." The alien observation team, forcibly invited by diplomatic protocol, watched in absolute silence. Representatives from the Quantum Collective, the Zorn Imperium, and a dozen other advanced civilizations had been brought in to witness what they were certain would be a catastrophic failure. They were wrong. As the quantum field reached full stability, the plasma sample transformed. What had been a roiling, unpredictable mass of energy became a precisely controlled network of quantum interactions. It wasn't just containment, it was a complete reimagining of stellar energy management. "Data acquisition complete," the AI announced. "Quantum stabilization success rate, 99.7%. Alina turned to the alien observers, her eyes reflecting something more than scientific triumph. It was a look of fundamental challenge, a declaration that humanity saw the universe not as a series of insurmountable barriers, but as a complex system waiting to be understood. Kithax, the Quantum Collective's lead observer, spoke first. His crystalline form seemed to fracture with the effort of comprehension. This should not be possible." Nakamura's laugh was sharp enough to cut quantum barriers. "Impossible," he repeated, "is just a word used by those who lack the imagination to see beyond their current understanding." The test chamber fell silent. Outside, the stars continued their ancient dance. But something had fundamentally changed. Humanity had just demonstrated that they could do more than observe the universe. They could speak its language. The Stellar Conversion Project was no longer a theoretical concept. It was a reality that would reshape galactic civilization. And they were just getting started. The diplomatic vessel of the Zorn Imperium arrived like a technological cathedral, a massive crystalline structure that seemed to absorb and refract light in impossible geometries. Its approach triggered every known and several unknown diplomatic protocols across multiple star systems. Vorax, the lead negotiator, was not a being accustomed to surprise. His species had mastered interstellar diplomacy when most other civilizations were still learning to make fire. But humanity was something entirely different, a variable that defied all established computational models. "You are children playing with forces beyond your comprehension," Vorax declared, his translator rendering the words with a precision that somehow captured both condescension and genuine concern. The emergency session of the Interstellar Diplomatic Corps was held in a massive zero-gravity chamber, deliberately designed to remove any sense of territorial advantage. Representatives from 63 different species watched as the human delegation entered, not with the pomp and aggression expected of a species making such a revolutionary claim, but with a calm that was somehow more threatening. Dr. Elena Rodriguez carried nothing but a small device that looked like it could have been a child's educational toy. "Neutrality protocols require a full demonstration," she announced, her voice cutting through the tension like a quantum laser. The holographic displays flickered to life. What followed was not a traditional presentation, but a systematic deconstruction of everything the assembled species thought they knew about stellar physics. Star after star appeared, each one transformed from a chaotic nuclear furnace into a precisely managed energy network. The visualization wasn't just scientific data. It was a language of possibility that spoke directly to the fundamental nature of cosmic interaction. The Creel delegation, silicon-based entities known for their ultra-conservative approach to technological development, went completely silent. Their communication arrays, typically a constant hum of computational activity, simply stopped. Vorax's crystalline form began to fracture, not physically, but in terms of his entire conceptual understanding of universal physics. "This violates at least 17 fundamental laws of quantum mechanics," he stammered. Elena's response was devastating in its simplicity. "No," she corrected, "it reveals that those laws were incomplete." The next 10 minutes would be recorded in galactic history as the moment everything changed. Humanity wasn't just presenting a technological breakthrough. They were offering a fundamental reimagining of how intelligent life could interact with the universe. The small device in Elena's hand began to pulse, a miniature representation of the stellar conversion technology. It wasn't a weapon. It wasn't a threat. It was an invitation. An invitation to see the universe differently. The diplomatic chamber remained frozen, caught between terror and an emotion that was closer to wonder. Humanity had just demonstrated that the most dangerous force in the cosmos wasn't technology. It was imagination. The first converted star system looked like nothing humanity had ever imagined. Where once there was a volatile red giant threatening to consume its surrounding planets, now existed a carefully managed energy grid that defied every previous understanding of stellar engineering. Colony ships from 23 different human-affiliated worlds began their approach, each vessel carrying thousands of settlers prepared to transform what was once considered an uninhabitable region of space into a thriving civilization. Dr. Marcus Chen stood on the primary observation deck of the colonial flagship Horizon, watching as the transformed star pulsed with a rhythm that was equal parts mathematical precision and living energy. Around him, terraforming teams prepared for the most ambitious planetary reconstruction project in human history. "Stellar conversion complete," the ship's AI announced. Energy output at 99.8% efficiency. What had been a dying star system was now a cosmic powerhouse. Entire planets that were once scorched wastelands now showed the first signs of atmospheric stabilization. Massive energy collectors, looking like delicate crystalline spider webs, stretched between planetary orbits, capturing and redistributing energy with impossible precision. Arya Patel, now leading the xenoecological restoration team, monitored the initial planetary seeding efforts. Genetically modified organisms, designed to survive in conditions that would have killed traditional life forms, began their work of transforming barren rock into living landscapes. "We're not just colonizing," she told her team. We're having a conversation with an entire star system. The alien observation teams, now more collaborators than skeptics, watched in stunned silence. The Quantum Collective had sent their best xenoengineering specialists to understand how humanity could achieve what had been considered impossible. Cathax, who had once threatened to destroy the first human exploration vessel, now studied the conversion process with a mixture of terror and fascination. His species had explored the galaxy for millions of years, but they had never imagined transformation on this scale. Each energy pulse was a testament to human innovation. Where other civilizations saw limitations, humanity saw opportunities. The star wasn't being conquered, it was being understood, respected, managed. Agricultural domes began to bloom across previously uninhabitable planetary surfaces. Water extraction systems pulled moisture from atmospheric compounds that would have been considered unworkable by any other species. Power generation reached levels that made traditional fusion technology look like primitive campfires. "We're creating life," Marcus whispered, more to himself than to anyone else. "Not just sustaining it, creating it." The colonial ships continued their approach. Each vessel carried not just settlers, but the collective dreams of a species that refused to accept the universe's previous limitations. Scientists, engineers, farmers, teachers, all prepared to transform what was once considered a hostile environment into a living, breathing ecosystem. By the time the first permanent settlement was established, the transformed star system was already producing more usable energy than the combined output of the three most advanced civilizations in the known galaxy. It wasn't just a technological achievement, it was a declaration. Humanity was here, and they were going to remake the universe in their image. The interstellar university complex stretched across 3 planetary surfaces, a testament to humanity's most powerful weapon, collaborative knowledge. Where previous galactic civilizations hoarded scientific discoveries like precious metals, humans had created an unprecedented open-source approach to technological development. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, now leading the Galactic Cooperation Initiative, walked through holographic lecture halls where researchers from over 50 different species worked side by side. The walls themselves seemed to breathe with information, quantum data streams dancing between molecular displays that redefined the very concept of communication. Technological isolation is the greatest threat to intelligent life, she would tell their students. Collaboration is our true evolutionary advantage. The transformation was more than technological. It was cultural. The Creole, once the most isolationist of spacefaring civilizations, now sent their brightest minds to study human research methodologies. Universities across the galaxy began adopting collaborative platforms that dismantled centuries of secretive scientific traditions. Dr. Hiroshi Nakamura, now more neural network than traditional human, oversaw the development of quantum education interfaces that could translate complex scientific concepts across biological and technological boundaries. What had once required decades of specialized training could now be understood through immersive learning experiences that broke down every previous barrier of comprehension. Alien research teams that had once viewed humanity with suspicion now competed for positions in human-led research initiatives. The Zorn Imperium, which had threatened humanity's first exploration vessel, now funded joint research programs that pushed the boundaries of known scientific understanding. In orbital research stations that defied traditional architectural constraints, teams worked on projects that would have been considered impossible mere decades earlier. Stellar engineering had become a collaborative art form, with each species contributing unique perspectives that expanded collective knowledge. "We are not conquerors," Elena would explain in her most famous lecture series. "We are students, and the universe is our most fascinating teacher." The transformation wasn't just about technology. It was about reimagining the fundamental relationship between intelligent life and the cosmos. Humanity had demonstrated that innovation was not about domination, but about understanding. Quantum communication networks began to replace traditional faster-than-light communication systems, where previous civilizations saw communication as a means of transmission. Humans saw it as a form of collective intelligence. Each communication node became a living, breathing ecosystem of shared knowledge. Vorax, the once skeptical Zorn diplomatic leader, now sat on the board of the Interstellar Research Consortium. His crystalline form had been partially reconstructed with human-developed neural interfaces, a living symbol of the collaborative future humanity had initiated. The walls of scientific isolation were crumbling, and humanity stood at the center of a transformation that would reshape galactic civilization. They were turning the universe into a classroom, and everyone was invited to learn. The Cosmic Consciousness Conference happened on a station that orbited what was once a dying star, now a perfectly managed energy network that powered entire sectors of galactic civilization. Representatives from over 200 sentient species gathered, each bringing their unique perspective on the fundamental nature of existence. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, now more legend than individual, delivered the keynote address. Her neural augmentations allowed her to communicate simultaneously in multiple linguistic and sensory spectrums, a living demonstration of humanity's approach to universal understanding. "We are not defined by our technological achievements," she began, her words translating instantaneously into quantum communication patterns that carried meaning beyond traditional language, but by our capacity to reimagine what's possible. The philosophical shift was profound. Where previous galactic cultures saw the universe as a hostile environment to be survived, humans have presented a radical alternative: the cosmos as a complex system waiting to be understood, respected, and carefully managed. Philosophical research centers began to emerge on planets transformed by human stellar conversion technology. These were not traditional academic institutions, but living laboratories where different species could explore the fundamental nature of existence through collaborative investigation. The quantum collective's most advanced philosophers studied human communication patterns, discovering something unprecedented. Humanity's approach wasn't about conquering or understanding through separation. It was about connection. Every technological breakthrough was seen as a conversation, not a conquest. Dr. Arya Patel, now leading the Xenophilosophical Research Division, developed communication interfaces that could translate not just language, but fundamental conceptual frameworks. A silicon-based researcher could now experience the emotional landscape of a carbon-based life form, and vice versa. Empathy, Arya would explain, is the most advanced form of scientific understanding. The transformation extended beyond technology and communication. Entire planetary systems began to restructure their social and governmental systems based on human collaboration models. Where previous civilizations saw competition as the primary mode of interaction, they now saw collaborative potential. Religious and philosophical traditions that had existed for millennia began to incorporate the new understanding of cosmic interaction. The universe was no longer seen as a static entity to be worshipped or feared, but as a dynamic system of potential and connection. The Zorn Imperium's spiritual leaders developed entirely new theological frameworks that integrated stellar convergent technology into their understanding of cosmic consciousness. What had once been seen as a threat was now viewed as a manifestation of universal potential. Vorax, speaking at a multi-species philosophical symposium, captured the fundamental shift. Humanity did not conquer the universe. They invited it to have a conversation. Educational systems were revolutionized. Children across multiple species now learn not just about scientific facts, but about the fundamental principle of collaborative potential. The boundaries between species, between disciplines, between ways of perceiving reality were dissolving. Humanity had done more than develop a technological breakthrough. They had offered a new way of seeing the universe itself, a way of seeing that was fundamentally about connection. The Museum of Cosmic Evolution stretched across 3 planetary surfaces, a living testament to humanity's journey from a single planetary species to the architects of galactic transformation. Holographic displays showed the progression of stellar convergent technology, from the first tentative experiments to the intricate cosmic networks that now powered entire civilizations. Children from over 50 different species walked through the exhibits, their neural interfaces allowing them to experience not just the visual history, but the emotional landscape of human innovation. Dr. Marcus Chen, now well over 100 years old and more quantum intelligence than traditional biological entity, served as the primary curator. His neural network contained the collective memories of the entire stellar conversion project, a living archive of humanity's most profound achievement. "We were never about conquest," he would tell the young visitors, his holographic form shifting between multiple sensory representations. "We were about conversation." Centuries had passed since the first breakthrough. Stars that once raged with uncontrolled nuclear fury now pulsed with carefully managed energy. Cosmic nightlights illuminating the dreams of civilizations yet unborn. The universe had encountered many species, but humanity remained unique. The original research team, Elena Rodriguez, Hiroshi Nakamura, Arya Patel, had long since transcended traditional biological limitations. Their consciousness existed as a distributed network, a living representation of the collaborative potential they had first demonstrated. Entire star systems that were once considered uninhabitable now bloomed with life. Planetary ecosystems flourished under the carefully managed stellar networks, each one a testament to human innovation and collaborative potential. The quantum collective, once humanity's most vocal opponents, now considered the stellar conversion project their most significant achievement. Their historical records celebrated humanity not as conquerors, but as the species that taught the universe how to have a conversation with itself. Vorax, now a living symbol of cross-species collaboration, had his consciousness preserved in the museum's central memorial. His crystalline form, partially reconstructed with human-developed neural interfaces, stood as a reminder of how far they had come. "We didn't just survive," the preserved consciousness would explain to visitors. "We reimagined what was possible." The museum's central chamber contained a simple memorial, a small device that looked like it could have been a child's educational toy. It was the original quantum stabilization prototype that had started everything. Beside it, a simple inscription captured the essence of humanity's journey. Not conquerors, not survivors, students of the universe. As new species continued to emerge, as civilizations rose and fell, humanity's legacy remained. They had done more than develop a technological breakthrough. They had offered a new way of seeing existence itself, a way that was fundamentally about connection, collaboration, and the infinite potential of collective imagination. The stars continued their ancient dance, but now they danced to a different rhythm, one of understanding, of possibility, of endless potential. Humanity had transformed more than just stars. They had transformed hope itself.